In a remote land where dense jungle swallowed the horizon and sunlight barely pierced through the thick canopy, there existed an ancient village named Drama. A name absent from any map ever drawn. The villagers whispered legends of a forbidden place deep within the forest. An ancient temple where a flame had burned for centuries, never extinguished, not by storm, not by flood. They called it the temple that never stops burning. No one from the village dared approach the cursed jungle, except for the foolishly curious, and they all vanished without a trace. Ghost stories spread like wildfire through the region, acting as a silent warning. But for Linh, a young and relentless archaeologist, those stories only fanned the flames of her obsession. She believed the temple guarded the remains of a long-lost civilization, one that could rewrite human history itself. Linh was not alone. Accompanying her were two trusted companions, Dewey, a photographer with a passion for capturing the world's hidden mysteries, and Tan, a former military scout with years of survival expertise. The three of them, driven by ambition, courage, and a hint of madness, ventured into the forest that everyone else avoided. From the moment they crossed the tree line, the air shifted. An icy wind whistled through the leaves like a chorus of grieving spirits. Birds fell silent. Every step forward, the ground grew softer. The roots slithered like serpents coiling around their feet. Occasionally, Linh glimpsed strange shapes flitting between the trees. But when she turned to look, there was only blackness. After 3 days of wandering through a green labyrinth, they finally stood before a moss-covered ruin. It was the temple. Towering and monolithic, its black stone walls were etched with incomprehensible glyphs and scenes of blood-soaked rituals. But what stole their breath was the flame, blazing atop the temple's central spire, fierce and alive, as if the soul of the temple itself had been set on fire. There was no smoke, no oil, no wood, just flame, vivid, crimson, and impossibly suspended in the air. And an unnatural chill crept down their spines. Linh, eyes gleaming with awe, took frantic notes. Dewey raised his camera, but every photo came out as a blinding white blur.
"So strange," he muttered. "The camera works, but every shot is pure white light, like something doesn't want to be seen." Tan remained silent. He didn't believe in the supernatural, but his instincts screamed we're being watched. That night, their first beside the temple was a nightmare. They pitched camp a few dozen meters from the ruins, but none of them slept. Whispering voices drifted from the forest, hundreds of them, murmuring in a tongue no human should understand. The flame on the spire dimmed and brightened like a living, breathing thing. At midnight, Linh awoke to a shrill, echoing laugh. She shot up and saw Dway standing motionless, eyes wide, staring at the flame. She rushed over, grabbing his arm. His skin was ice cold, his eyes vacant. Morning came. Dway was alive, but changed. His gaze locked on the fire. He muttered strange syllables, the same ones carved into the temple walls. Linh was shaken. Tan insisted they retreat, but Linh refused. They had awakened something. She had to know what. They made the choice to enter the temple. The massive stone doors creaked open under their combined strength. A blast of icy air burst forth, nearly toppling them. Inside, a cavernous hall loomed, shrouded in darkness. Statues, grotesque human forms, stood scattered throughout, each bore an expression of unspeakable agony, mouths frozen mid-scream, eyes eternally widened in terror. Deeper in, they discovered an altar of black stone. Atop it rested a human skull, its eye sockets glowing faintly red, matching the color of the eternal flame. Behind the altar stood a towering statue, wings half burned, arms raised, holding a bowl. Inside the bowl, a small flame gently flickering. As Linh approached, the flame exploded upward, as if it recognized her. Dway collapsed to his knees, whispering, "Fire God, you have returned." Tan grabbed Lin's arm, trying to pull her back, but it was too late. The ground shook violently. The statues cracked and bled from the walls. Fresh blood began to seep. The whispers turned to screams. Shadowy forms poured into the chamber, gliding like smoke. Tan drew a knife, but it passed uselessly through the figures. One shadow latched onto Dway, yanking him toward the ceiling. In a blink, Dway vanished, his body crumbling to ash midair. Linh screamed. Tan dragged her away. They burst from the temple just as the shaking stopped. Behind them, the flame atop the spire surged, brighter, stronger, hungrier. They didn't stop running until the jungle opened up. Linh collapsed. 3 months later, Linh awoke in a psychiatric ward. She remembered nothing after that night. Dewey's body was never found. Tan had vanished after bringing Linh to the hospital. All that remained was Dewey's bracelet, which now glowed red every night. In her dreams, Linh still saw the fire. She saw burning souls, blood-stained altars, and heard the whisper again. The flame will never die. It needs no wind, no wood. It feeds on belief and fear. And then, one day, Linh disappeared. Only her journal was left behind, open to the final page. I saw the face of the fire god, and I have been chosen. Since her disappearance, no one dared mention the temple again. The village of Drama was abandoned. The forest grew thicker, swallowing all paths. But the flame still burned. On moonless nights, a red flicker danced deep in the jungle, like a ghostly torch swaying in the wind. The earth whispered. Birds fell silent. The air froze as if something was waiting. Curious researchers tried to return. None succeeded. They all vanished. No signals, no cries for help, only a faint echo from the heart of the woods. The flame has awakened, and blood must be paid. They say the fire is a god, one sealed in that temple long ago. Now it has a new vessel. Her name was Linh. So next time you see a quiet flame in the dark, ask yourself, is that really a fire, or is it a pair of eyes watching from the other side? Ending. The temple that never stops burning. This is not where people find fire. This is where fire finds the soul of mankind. Would you still walk in if you knew it was waiting for you? Subscribe to Dark Whispers if you believe fire can remember, if you feel your fears are watched in silence, if you're ready to meet the God behind the flame. Some flames don't burn wood, they burn faith, and some fires never die.